Well, good day, good day, good day. An exciting day here in the greater Phoenix area. Welcome to the Abundant Empowerment Exchange. Today we have an exciting subject, resources in the community. We're going to be talking about different resources in the community and not just in the greater Phoenix area. We're going to talk about resources, how to connect no matter where you are in the U.S. We're going to give a little insight. I'm happy today that my guest is Annette De Jesus. Annette, welcome
Hi,
today.
thank you.
And you want to take a moment and just introduce yourself and we'll dive in.
Hello. Thank you, Robert, for having me on. I just wanted to say that I'm Annette De Jesus, and my goal is to connect individuals to resources. My motto is connecting people to the right place at the right time. So the goal is to meet the need, to connect people to what they're in need of is what I strive to do.
Yeah. And I found, I know there's always been a need for help, but I know recently I've seen quite a few people that have been reaching out for help. And so even at this time, the need seems to be growing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, people don't know where to look, how to do it. And that's what we are about today. We want to try to give individuals some guidance on where to look and how to negotiate through, um, that it can be difficult for some people. So hopefully we can make it a little easier in our conversation on this evening.
Yes. Yes. I one of the great needs that I'm seeing in the community is energy assistance, utility assistance. People are finding it hard to make ends meet, and so there's there's energy assistance programs out there that I want to make people aware of, at least for in Arizona. And that if they can always go to the wildfires website, which is wildfireaz.org, and find the tab Find Help, and then click on Energy Assistance. And so it will give all of the locations in the counties in Arizona that they can connect to that will help them possibly pay their um, energy bills.
Yeah. And it really gets hot here, especially in the greater Phoenix area. But
Yeah.
the utility companies, they do try to help in the
Mhm.
summer months where they will have a period where they won't turn off the utilities, but that period has ended. And so we're now back to the place that you have to pay it when it's due. So that help that's out there really comes in handy around this time because there is no relief going forward.
And I recommend people call their energy provider and speak to their customer service and tell them that they're reaching out for help. Because sometimes that, a lot of times that will help if you speak to someone to let them know that you are looking for help. So I think communication is the key to trying to ensure that your utilities are not shut off by having that conversation, trying to work a payment plan out or something until you can get the assistance that you need.
And that's a great point. I know in my time uh, assisting individual with utility at the period that I was doing uh, that was one of the things that a lot of people didn't know. They
Mm.
didn't communicate at all, and the utility was just turned off. But when they found out that there is somebody at the other end of the line that's willing to help, and I think the utility companies they really want to help. They don't want to turn your utility off if they don't have to. And I
Yeah.
think that's why there are a number of programs out there to help. And some of the funding that we receive, and I'm talking in past tense because at one point I did work in a position where I received funding, and some of that funding did come from the utility companies to
Yes,
help. So they give back. They do give back to for those individuals that are in need of help.
that is true. That is,
And
uh,
you mentioned wildfire, which is a great resource across the state of Arizona to reach
yes.
out to because there are so many. If you go to that site, you'll find many agencies uh, on that site. Can you explain a little bit about the process of, if they use one agency, they may not be able to use another, how all the agencies are connected because they're getting funding from the same source. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yes, there's the funding called Home Energy Assistance Funding, better known as HEAth. And so Wildfire has contracted with different agencies. So the energy companies give us guidelines on how to use that assistance. And so, like APS, you can get assistance up to $1,000, and you can only apply twice in a year. And so no matter if you use this company or that company, if it's the same funding, it's still up to $1,000. So you can't go over $1,000 for assistance. Per SRP, they will provide assistance up to $800. And again, if you're using the same funding, you can only apply twice in a year. For Southwest Gas, they will allow up to $400, and you can apply with them until you reach the $400 limit. So a lot of times people will say that they haven't received assistance, but when you go into the system tracks it. So the system knows if the funding has been used. So it will flag. And so it's very important to just be upfront with your case manager or be upfront with the person that's assisting you. Say, well, I'm not sure. And so they can always look in the systems, and the systems let us know. And there are requirements for these fundings. And like I was saying, APS goes up to 1,000, but if you don't owe 1,000, it's not going to pay 1,000. It will pay what you owe. So each utility company has its rules about how we assist. And so it's for people that's in the federal poverty level of 200% or below. And there are requirements. And so it's based on your income and household size also. And so it's very important and this is what I want to encourage people to, Robert, is if you're going to reach out to assistance, try to get your paperwork in order because it makes the process go so much faster. A lot of times each program asks for its own specific things, but some of the things that are a requirement for most is identification, because we have to prove who you are. And then we're going to be asking for the most current utility bill, and your 30 days of income. And you don't have to have income, but we're asking for the last 30 days of income if you do have income. And we're also going to be asking you if you receive SNAPs. We would like to have the approval letter that you received. And it's important to be open and honest about what's going on with your situation, because there are crisis reasons for a lot of the utility assistance. You have to meet a criteria for why you need the assistance. So if you have those documents together, a lot of times you may get assistance the same day that you call if you can provide that information. So it does make the process much faster if you have your documentation together.
Yeah. And one of the things I really wanted to do tonight was to give both sides, that individual will have a better understanding of the agencies and the what they're facing and their guidelines. I know many times I had an individual call me up for assistance and they would go into, you know, this and that. And, and I know from my standpoint, when I was helping individuals, I it was like, well, I know what you're going through, I know it's difficult, but but from my side, if I can help you, I'm going to help
Mhm.
you
Right,
because your story is not really going to change it. Because
right,
on the agency side, they have guidelines they have to meet. They want to help you, but their
yes,
hands are tied to a degree. So, taking 30 minutes to go into a
right,
long story. Now I would listen because I had
of
compassion,
course.
but just know, as Annette is saying, the important thing is to make sure that you look at the requirements and try to have all that information in line when you approach that agency, because the agencies, they have, as I mentioned, requirements. A lot Sometimes it may be federal funding, and
Yeah,
they have to have certain documents, because if they don't, they can't help. The
right,
system, the database actually tells the case manager what's needed. And if you don't meet that certain document, you can't move on from there. And it's
right,
not really the person that's saying no, it's actually the system that has been put in place
right.
that's actually saying no. And I'll also share, be kind. Please
Yeah,
be kind, because sometimes, agency have volunteers that are there. And if it wasn't for the volunteers, a lot of agencies wouldn't be able to even operate. So, and that's why I wanted tonight to kind of give both sides. So when people are calling in, they realize both sides of it. Because I
yeah,
know when people are calling in, everybody feel like that their need is number one. Now on
yes,
the agency side, they got 400 or 500 people that that are calling in with the same situation. And then they're also limited on funding. So again, it goes back to when you call in, if you can, make sure you have all the documentation,
yes,
because if you have to go back and get more documentation, by the time you turn around and come back, the funding could be gone, because calls come in regularly to agencies, and most agencies only have a certain annual amount
right,
that may only last a couple months, but maybe it might last 6 months. But for each month, they actually kind of budget out a
right,
certain amount for each month. And once they reach that amount, then it's done. And also realizing that when they help you once, that's it. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, there are so many other people that are in line that they can't really help people over and over as well. And it's nice to have a game plan. I always ask folks, well, what's your plan for next month? You
right,
know, are you if you need to, are you looking for employment? Because that
mhm,
could play a big role too. Because a lot of this is just kind of like stopgap to like give you more time. In a lot of cases.
right,
211 is a number two, a major number that you
yes,
can call in Arizona. You can go online to 20211. And
yes,
this 201 is not just an Arizona number. This
right,
is a nationwide number. If you're in New York today, or whenever you're watching this and you need help, dial 21. If you're in Texas and
yes,
Mexico, wherever you are, or you can go online to that 201. And uh, it takes persistence. If you have a computer, the internet, get on there and just start Googling, sometime. Just Google. I know here in the greater Phoenix area, we have a new leaf. which is in
Mhm.
the East Valley. If you're in the East Valley, there's a Sin, which is the cities of Chandler and Gilbert. We have the City of Chandler Salvation Army, the Tempe Community Action, TCAA, Maricopa County Human Services, City of Phoenix Human Services, City of Scottsdale, City of Surprise Resource Center, and that they cover veteran
Yeah.
services, a whole range of different. St. Vincent de Paul may offer rent and mortgage and utility assistance. The Salvation Army, Friendly House, Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest. If you need food, you can go on the Arizona Association of Food Banks, and they have a link there. You can just put in a zip code, and it
Hmm.
will bring up a food bank in your area. Because most food banks are going to, the majority are going to serve people in their zip code
Right.
area. And so many times, if we're low on funding or utility or rent, that means we don't have the gas money to be traveling too far or all
Right.
over the place. So, try to zero in on somewhere close to you. Community legal services is another place you could reach out to. Arizona Youth and Family Services offers a range of services for youth and families. Homeless, and there's a homeless Arizona homeless homeless youth connection is another that provides amazing services for homeless individuals that are maybe in transitional housing or uh, you know education assistance and life skills training as
Hmm.
well. CAS for someone who's looking for housing, who's homeless, a homeless adult,
Yeah.
can reach out to CAS. Um, Tempe I Help is a program that works with churches. And there's also one in Chandler I Help, and Southwest I Help over in the Avondale and the Goodyear area.
Hmm.
Uh, Now,
There's
you might
also,
have touched, I'm sorry.
go ahead, Robert.
Yeah. Did you touch on the eligibility requirements already? I think you might have.
Yes, I believe I
Yeah.
did. Mhm.
Yeah.
But I
So,
also wanted to say that clothing resources is another one that people ask for. A lot of time, sometimes individuals have to leave their home in emergent kind of situations, and there are clothing, just like there's food banks, there's also clothing resources out there. And one of the ones that I wanted to bring attention to is the Phoenix Rescue Mission. They have a homeless walk-in, drop-in center. They also have over at Aquafria Food and Clothing Bank. That's in Avondale. And they have the Vineyard Food and Clothing Bank in Glendale. They have Fresh Start Treasures in Phoenix, Fresh Start Women's Foundation Professional Wardrobe Services in Phoenix. And there's with Child Center in Phoenix also that they offer baby clothing and furniture, maternity clothes, and things of that nature. So a good way to find some resources is to also Google. Google can be your friend, and you can put in clothing resources and your zip code, and it will pull up places that you can go for clothing resources. Sometimes they'll be free, and sometimes they just may be at a lower cost. So I
yeah.
wanted to let people be aware of that also.
And if you're in the West Valley, I do know that St. John's Lutheran Church, which is
Mhm.
near 51st Avenue in Glendale, they actually have clothing. When you go into the food pantry there, they have free clothing that you can go through and try to find something. But again, I will reiterate, when you go into these places, be kind and also remember to ask them if they don't have the assistant, ask because they may know
Yes.
of other agency because a lot of these nonprofits do network. For example, I
Absolutely.
know out in Mesa, you have Mesa Can has a monthly networking where all the different nonprofits in that area come together in Goodyear.
Hmm.
There's a networking event in Goodyear where the nonprofits and even churches come together and they meet and talk about resources. You also have that in Avondale, has a networking meeting, even out at Buckeye
Hmm.
as well. So don't forget to call. I mean, don't forget to ask when you call into the agency looking for help, and you might be calling for maybe utilities, but ask them about other things as
Right.
well. But what I found too is you may be looking for help with your rent, but the agency may not have help for rent, but they might have help for utilities.
Right.
And that little bit can maybe help you out some to a degree. Remember too that, and I think I might have said this, that the agencies do have limited funding and they have guidelines uh, as well. And we named some agencies tonight, but always remember when you call the agency, there's never a guarantee that anyone's going to have the funding
Right.
because, as I said earlier, the funding it goes so quickly. There are just so many people that are calling in for that. Now, on the flip side, I know everybody watching might not be in a position where you have a need, but maybe
Hmm.
you can volunteer.
Right.
There's volunteer opportunities all over, and it really helps. It really helps the organizations and it saves them funding. If they got a person that can volunteer instead of pay, that
Hmm.
gives them a little more funding to help the public with. So
Yes.
please think about volunteer and think about donating. You can look around and find organizations that can donate. I hope in a few months to do a special holiday edition. Bring some agencies together to talk about the holidays and what's available uh, what's available during the holidays. So, well, in that, you
Well,
have
Robert, I want to
anything?
say, I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
I say you have anything else to share this evening?
Yes, I would just like to say to individuals, because I always want to leave people with a sense of hope, to know that there are people that do care and there are resources out there for you. And so I want to let everyone know about 988. It is a suicide crisis hotline, and that is nationwide. And so if you ever feel like you just need to talk to someone, feel free to call that number also. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands there is hope. And I also like to say to people, reach out to churches also. There are churches that will actually assist also if they can.
Yeah, yeah, and just you had mentioned getting getting on the phone, and reaching out, getting on the phone and on the internet for the most
Yeah.
part, just getting
Yes.
on that internet and reaching out to different places can make a big difference.
Yes.
So
Persistence is the key.
it really is, and I found in my time of working with individuals, those that were persistent, and don't just focus on one agency.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
make sure you call around. There are a lot of agencies out there, so be sure to get in touch with those agencies and you may not get everything you need if you want, but if you combine them, because agencies have different guidelines. There may be some agencies that may not require a lot of documentation and
Right.
and all. But in that, I certainly want to thank you for coming on, and I want to welcome you all to the Abundant Empowerment Exchange. This is our second segment. Our first one was 911. We had Elizabeth Sutton. She shared her Hurricane Katrina experience, and that is out on our YouTube page. Just go there and type in the Abundant Empowerment Exchange. If you need to, type in Hurricane Katrina. And this particular segment will be posted on the YouTube page. And we also have a Facebook page where we are posting this information as well. Coming up on Thursday on 9/11, I will have a special guest in the person of Dr. Roscoe Moats. Dr. Moats worked at the Twin Towers, and he's going to share his experience. So you don't want to miss it. You can get our link. Matter of fact, if you want to email me, feel free to email me, and I can get you what you need to be on that particular program. We will have an audience for that program. So Annette, thank you again. Thank you for joining tonight. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. God
Thank
bless.
you, Robert.
Thank you.